everybody. We are showing you our new intro video. How's that?
Welcome.
Let's talk.
Yeah, I'm Brenda.
And I'm Andreina. We already have Margie here. Hi, Margie.
Hello.
So how are we doing? How are we feeling today?
Yeah, don't miss the Met game today, Marge. Tom's here. He's now a new Met fan after the Red Sox are not in postseason play. Sorry, Tom. All right. Okay, let's see who else is joining us. We could get started. We could talk about how the Mets actually got to where they are today. We could start out with the Atlanta Braves games on Monday.
Incredible game.
We could even go through. We could even go back and talk about how Friday, some of the Met fans were feeling pretty miserable, and we had to win on Sunday to make Monday even happen.
And I want to know, how many of you were? It's probably gonna be game 2. How many of you were in that mindset of already thinking that the Braves were going to take game 1? Because I have to admit, I was a little bit on that mindset, and I almost prepared myself internally to take the loss and prepare for getting ready for this game number 2.
But at what point? What are you talking about? Like during the game or before
the Braves,
before the game started, or
before the doubleheader?
Yeah, but what point did you just give up on the game?
I didn't give up. I'm not saying I gave up. I said I was ready to. I was preparing myself to how I was gonna take the loss. But then they started to score.
So during the game, you were. During the game?
No, not during the game. Before the game,
before the game,
I was looking at the scenarios. I say, of course, if we win, I know how I'm gonna feel. I know it. But if we lose, how am I gonna feel? So I was telling myself, feel happy about the season, blah blah blah. But then they started to come alive. The bats started to come alive during the game. And obviously they tied, and then they went up ahead, and then the whole drama with the up and down. And then I was already in they have to win, because when you taste that, I was like, that's it, we have to win. And it was incredible how they got my heart going, pounding really fast.
Yeah, well, I mean, a big part of that game, and we can go back and look at so many games during the season, when you take a pitcher out that is really having his way with the Mets batters, like Schoenbach, you take him out and then you bring in relievers. That was their opportunity there.
That was their mistake.
Thank God that happened, because without that, I think they still would have struggled.
Yeah.
The guy's a rookie. You weren't going to leave him in that long. And
I think it has to do with a little bit of the arrogance that the Braves have, because they thought that Schoenbach, however you say that, was just going to shut us off. And then Taylor goes and hits that double. And then, oh, no, that's it. No more Schoenbach, whatever. I don't know how to say it. And then they change it. So I think it has to do with a little bit of their arrogance of they thought that he was just going to.
Well, they have to, have some trust in some relievers, right, to come in. But the Nets really showed some resilience. They were able to bounce back from, a couple of times, right, being down, being up, then being down again, and just, of course, we could if we wanted to focus on the bad there in that game, Diaz, that was really troubling, not only him struggling, throwing and pitching, but also covering his position. I mean, he has to cover the bag there. It's just
that was definitely Little League.
He also didn't, back up a play. He just really fell apart. And I was surprised. Well, the Mets went ahead, which I wasn't surprised. I actually had confidence that they would get ahead. I was surprised that Diaz would go back out there, and he said, I'm going back out there regardless. He told Mendoza that.
Yeah, and I really commend Mendy for really sticking to him, because that takes a lot of guts. That takes a good set of guts to go like, you want to do it. And we've seen that on Mendy all season. Like, he has guts, and he puts them out there, and it's been working so far. So I think that really was an incredible moment for when they said, like, will Diaz go back? I was like, and then Diaz goes on, and I'm like, oh, wow. I said, Mendy, wow. Like, I didn't know that Diaz fought for it, but Mendoza was just like,
well, he threw 40 pitches. I think that was the most of his career. And that just knocked him out for game one, which was something that obviously Mendoza would know. Like, you're going to be using him so much, he's not going to be available the next night. So it was a risk. Right.
You know what I mean, Tom? And I think that really helped. It's going to help Diaz mentally. I think because baseball it's such, every sport is such a mental game, but it's just going to help him with his confidence and everything else. But yeah, I mean, that uncovering first base, that was just terrible.
Well, he stayed on the mound for the celebration. We're just glad he didn't jump up and down and re-injure himself. Notice he really was focused on, hey guys, hey, just back up. I'm not jumping with you, right?
He hurt the glove. He didn't hurt himself.
So that was funny. And then, I have to say that of course, game two really didn't mean so much because they had already clinched. I'm not sure if they thought about who they wanted to play. Like, hey, we don't want to go out to San Diego.
I think that's what they,
let's just go to Milwaukee because, it was just one of those kind of lifeless games. But Lucchesi did great. I was like, oh my gosh. He had such a good game, and the Braves needed that game. So it wasn't like he wasn't facing some really good, talented players that wanted to win. So
yeah, I think they might have said let's just go to Milwaukee, because to take that flight to California, let the Braves do that.
Yeah, I think we have some comments here. Yeah. Yeah, the World Baseball Classic.
Yes. Good, Ron.
Got my blood boiling.
That's Brenda's kryptonite.
Yeah. I mean, and Diaz has his moments, but he hasn't had a season like he did in 2022. So I don't know, if Diaz is really like the old Diaz yet. I still am not convinced because of these games where he has these lapses, not only pitching wise, walking batters, but also mentally not playing defense.
Yeah, because when he's off, holy crap, he's off. It's just not like, maybe not. No, it's like, off.
So you know what? I wanted to talk about before we talk about Sean Manaea, because I'm excited about him pitching tonight. I want to talk about Severino last night, because there were moments where I just thought, oh my goodness, it's going to implode. And really, Milwaukee had a lost opportunity when they could have blown the door open with the bases loaded, and Sevy came through. There was a strikeout, then a pop-up, and they're really fortunate that they didn't score a lot of runs. And the Mets also got runs back that he had given up, and then Mendoza left him in the fourth inning after he struggled, and that was so important to have him go 6 innings yesterday, just for the bullpen having rest, and for him mentally, I thought it was really key. So I was just thrilled with Sevy's performance.
Yeah, and the team starting to score, so it kind of helped them also, I guess, to relax a little bit and kind of focus on what he needed to do. But no, it must be so stressful. Like, I don't know if you guys saw this, but Vientos gave an interview to Steve Geltz, and he said, I was really nervous. The poor kid, like, he just like, but he said, I mentally said, like, let's do this. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm here for. So he talked himself out of it, but I think he used his nerves to kind of pump him up. So it's got to be so nerve-wracking, especially for pitchers to.
He started poorly because they didn't call it an error, but he should have had that ball in the beginning.
Yeah, probably nerves got to him, for sure.
I know. So, and that's the kind of thing that usually, or certain games, Severino would get down on. If a runner got on base like that, he'd walk them, he'd get behind, and he did give up runs, but he got back into a mode where he was able to take command, which was amazing.
It speaks for, like, the veterans that we have in the team, that kind of show their experience in moments like that and how they handle that. I have a comment from Thomas. Says, I have not forgotten. I think it was one of the first series of the year. Yes. Hoskins, I hope the Mets put him in his place. I don't know, but Winker was just gonna go at Willy Adames. Like, I don't know. Like, I love Winker. He's such a fireball.
So a couple of things. One, the Rhys Hoskins controversy had to do with McNeil, second base, and a slide that McNeil complained about. And then Hoskins said he was, a baby, and did this like crying.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was like, bench clearing, not really a brawl, but they, got together and were chirping at each other. And so, that was such a long time ago because it was the opening series, of the year. And then, McNeil's hurt, so that kind of changes the dynamics a bit. But like, to your point, Andreina, with Winker, I know you like that. I don't really care for that kind of chirping at other players and trying to get under their skin. And I just think that can come back to bite you. So, for example, Lindor, when he hit the home run, which great, we didn't really talk about it. It was Lindor that won the game for us in Atlanta. He trotted around the bases. He didn't put his fist up. He didn't, overly celebrate or rub it in. He knew they still had to get 3 outs. So I like that better. I think excitement's great. I love when, they're in the dugout and they're like hugging each other and jumping up and down, but I don't like them to show off other players. I really felt like Winker, he was doing. He played for Milwaukee last year for
I think, but that's part of the game, and the game has been like that forever. And, it can get dirty at times, and it's a rough game, and they're gonna celebrate. If they don't like it, they'll hit you. So it's part of the game, and I think it's also their personality. But speaking of that, I have a video of I think it's Nemo when he hit the home run in Atlanta, and we're talking about that because look at what
center field. Back goes Harris.
Oh, little Michael Jordan action. Look, wow.
And Nimmo clocks one to deep right field. White goes back, takes a look, and it's out of here! Brandon Nimmo!
He goes flat. And look, Goody Two-Shoes Nemo went like, so.
Nemo, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the thing too, though, is, Harris was showing off, like rubbing it, like back at the Met, like, like nonchalant. He was showing up the Mets, and then Nemo did it back to him. So sometimes that could get, in that sense, it worked for the Mets, but tonight, let's see what happens. I don't think Winker's in the lineup tonight, so we may not have drama, but
yeah, when Emily said that, Winker and Adames had a history when he was in the Brewers. And then, we don't know what's behind that.
So many questions were asked, but nobody wanted to address them.
Yuki, I don't understand this comment. And hello, by the way, welcome.
Okay, yeah, I'm not sure that either. Maybe it's the look, or maybe because he's really super fast. I think it has to do that he's like super fast.
We'll see. Maybe he'll explain it. He showed off his bat. I think Ron's talking about Winker. It's all part of the game.
Yeah. Well,
Ty Cobb used to kill people. Women try to kill people with his cleats. So I know it's another time, but
yeah, I mean.
Okay,
yeah.
So Ron clarified that it was Lindor that showed his bat. Yeah. It's his personality. That's the way he is. And maybe he just felt like he needed to just take that in and enjoy the ride, enjoy the walk through the bases.
So the interesting thing was, with the going, thank God for Lindor, he's doing it, at the plate, and that's what counts, right? But back to the whole Winker and Adames. Adames went 0 for 3 last night. So what did he do? Or maybe that was like after that play went 0 for 3. I might have walked. I forget. But he didn't get a hit. So he didn't do his part. Like, the best way to retaliate is to do something for your team to help them win. Hit the ball or pitch.
Mm-hmm.
Get a guy out. If you're a pitcher. So that's how you do it. That's the way I look at it. And this whole talking and all that BS.
Emily said that Winker also had a terrible year for the Brewers, so maybe he had a chip on his shoulder and something to prove.
Yeah,
but maybe he just never liked Adames.
He's a little, there's something loose there too.
A little cookie, for sure.
He was yelling at the Met fans one year. He's when he was, I think it was on Washington at the time. I don't know. He's kind of crazy.
It's just the way he is.
Yeah. So let's talk. So we had about tonight. Marge put up something about Manaea. So we have the two guys are Friday night guys, right? That pitched Friday for the Mets, right? So we had Manaea, and we have who's for the Montos, right?
Let me see.
Yeah, so which I find really, really
Montas.
So I find interesting about Montas is that this is like elimination game for Milwaukee. And I don't think, if I look at his record and his career, I just don't think he's that, your second guy. Like, I don't think of him, Montas.
Who would you put?
The guy to be out there. And I don't. Well, this is my point though with the
That's
Brewers.
it.
I thought they're so stacked with their pitching because they do have amazing ERA, and I know the relief pitchers are brilliant, which they used like what 5 last night or 6.
Yeah, but look at the whole picture. Like the Brewers clinched. I mean, that division is not as tough as ours. They pretty much won. I'm not going to say easy, but they didn't have it as tough as us. So we are proven that we might even be a better team than the Brewers because they didn't have to do as much as we did. So
yeah, but they
maybe
still
that
have
will come across.
they have the talent, and they're still like,
Obviously,
facing,
yeah.
facing teams like we are. Of course, sometimes that makes a difference when you're fighting at the end of the year because
Yeah.
you're in it. It's already like playoff games. And, Milwaukee kind of like sat back where it's like, la da 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 da, while, the Mets were still fighting. And they just kind of carried that over, I think, to the playoffs. And it's like this lull for the Brewers.
So Yuki said, I think Winker tried to use psychological warfare by taking crap, get under the Brewer's skin. I think his technique worked.
Okay. Well,
Yuki's a fan.
That triple worked.
Emily said they have a great bullpen, but Suvali, who starts for them, pitched out of the bullpen, and they have several starters injured.
Yeah, and he pitched last night for the Brewers, and so it's so interesting. I think for tonight, a couple key things that the Mets have to do. And guys, I want you to chime in too and tell me your like key plays that will help enable the Mets to win tonight. Mine are going to be obviously Manaea goes deep, so we don't use too many relievers, especially since we used Buto last night, Stanek. So we want to be in a position where we can go Manaea long, and then maybe one inning.
We could use Peterson.
Matan 1 inning, and then no, I wouldn't use a starter. I wouldn't put a starter in.
This is an important game.
Yeah, but I don't think you break what's been working. That's my opinion. And then
you never know with Mendoza.
Well, and I think they have to.
Hopefully not. Maybe not.
I mean, give the run and have get those runs early, and I think that goes a long way because it really changed the strategy of the Brewer game last night when the Mets scored all those runs in 1 inning and went ahead by what was it, like 8-4. They couldn't take advantage of their small ball and their manufacturing runs and running crazy because they were behind so much. So I think that really took them off their game. So I think they need to do that tonight too.
Yeah, they need to jump ahead for sure. So
what's our feel for tonight in order to win? Let's get some real, kind of like input on what do you think the key who's going to be a key contributor tonight? Who's going to be the guy? What's going to happen? Do we have any?
I'm going to predict that Iglesias is going to get a hit. He's going to get on base.
Okay. So what is by the way, hi, Deanne, I see you're here. What is the starting lineup? Because I haven't seen it. I know it's out there. So help me to know. I know, Andreina, you had mentioned it earlier. Not in the podcast, but before we got on.
Yeah, it starts the same as yesterday, but I think we have Marte as the Lindor, Iglesias, Nemo, Alonso. I think it's JD. Help me out.
So JD starting. Okay, so that's different.
JD, Marte.
Okay.
Vientos.
Yep.
Alvarez.
Okay. All right. And you know what? I guess believe it was JD had pinched.
Oh yeah, Taylor
Taylor too. Yeah. So you know what? Sometimes you got to go with the guys that aren't. You mentioned Alonso, or did you? Maybe you did. I don't know, but sometimes you just got to stick with the guys. I know it's so frustrating for Met fans. I know, Emily, I'm talking directly to you. I know you're so frustrated when there's players that are in the lineup that haven't produced in such a long time. You're like, what is Mendoza thinking? And I think if they're veterans and they've proven themselves in the past and you really believe in them, then you just got to go with it and say, God, I really need this guy to go really far in the playoffs. So I got to go with him. And I think that was the case with JD. And he did get a clutch 2-run single last night. So kudos to him. So.
Yeah, and I don't think they can take Alonso out of the lineup. Yeah, it's frustrating, definitely.
Yeah, and Alonso. I mean, Alonso they walked him. They walked him last night. So somebody at Milwaukee thought, with the 2-0 count, that was the count when they decided they would intentionally walk him, that it was too dangerous to pitch to him, right? So that's where I think he can get on base, and even if it's not a hit, it's not a home run, it's not hit hard.
He's doing great plays on first. He's catching incredible balls. Yeah. So he's defensively, at least he's something we can talk about. But
well, also just to add to that Atlanta game, I really think that he saved them there when he stopped that ball from going in the outfield, and Diaz didn't cover, and he should have, but it could have been worse at that play, because that ball could have went past him.
Yeah, so it's all about supporting your players, even if you're frustrated with them, supporting them, because it makes no sense to get angry or to, just make them, they're human. So I just hope that Pete just smacks one really hard today.
Yeah. So the Mets didn't hit a home run last night, and they scored 8 runs. So they did, I don't know, they're way up there. I'm not sure the number, but they're way up there in extra base hits for the year. So they had a few extra base hits. Of course, they had that triple. They had a couple doubles.
I know
but they didn't have a home run, which is kind of interesting. So I think they're due for a home run tonight. So that's my prediction for somebody's going to hit. Maybe it'll be Alonso. So. And you know what? I was reading an article. I want to bring this up because I was reading an article about what differentiates teams that win the World Series from those that don't win the World Series. And one of the big factors was power. So across the board, they did a study of like 10 recent teams that made it to the World Series over a certain period of time. And they said, it was the teams that had power during the regular season, and that's what carried them over. It wasn't like if they had a high batting average that they continued hitting in postseason. It wasn't fielding. Fielding didn't have a factor.
Well, I disagree. I think you need to be good at the small ball to win. You can't just rely on home runs.
I'm just saying what the study said.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So the study said that it was the power. It was the power that was consistent. Of course, you need everything else, but that's what was like consistent throughout.
Okay.
Like every team that won the World Series had power in their lineup. Hit home runs. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure they had other factors too, but that was the consistent element, throughout. So it was, I thought that was an interesting study.
Yeah, we have a lot of power. Alvy is like very powerful, and even Nemo. I mean, because he's so like big, maybe that he has a lot of power.
It's
and
obviously
nice
Alonso. Yeah, and Lindor had the power this year, surprisingly, and clutch. Lindor has been the most clutch player, and Vientos. I'm going to say Lindor and Vientos.
Yes, Yuki.
Yeah.
Yuki.
Oh, yeah, Vientos, yeah. And we knew he had power when he was in the minors, and we were just calling for him to come on, please, yeah. So before we, did you want to show? Did you have another video or no?
I have a few. I don't know if you guys want to see. Well, you need power, and you also need this. Wait, where's this?
And Nimmo clocks one to deep right.
Oh, no, sorry, that's power. That's Iglesias, sorry.
Almost 102. Oh, that play flagged down by Hoskins. Leads over to Payam. Safe. And here comes the run in as Taylor is able to score. And we're tied up at 4.
The way he's...
That's the type of stuff, too, that sparks a team. You know, somebody who hustles down the field. And it also agitates the other team and the pitcher. Like, you know, that's a play, you know, Milwaukee should make, right? They should be out of that. And Iglesias made that happen. And that's
it's about mentally throwing them off.
And that is Milwaukee's game, and the Mets did it. So that was so fantastic. I hope we just continue that. And by the way, I wanted to say, I guess it was, oh my gosh, it had to be the Braves. It was the first game of the Braves. Iglesias was up with, first and second and no outs. And I was like, just bunt, like bring him over, small ball. And he got that big hit to drive in a run. And I just thought, okay, never mind. Do what you're going to do. So
I don't think they want him to bunt.
Yeah, I know. I never see bunting. I'm like, used to, once in a while bunt, manufacture runs, but, it really depends on who's up and who can actually.
And Ron is leaving. Bye, Ron.
Bye. So
did you have a question or you want to?
Oh, yeah, I do. First of all, couple things before I ask a question or win a t-shirt. Firstly, well, it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and so I have pink Met hat. So I just, a lot of times you'll see players wearing pink, and that's why. It's always October is that. So, just think about all the people that have suffered with cancer and hope they get better. And then the other thing I want to mention is Pete Rose too. I wanted to, our rest in peace, really, Rip, because I grew up with Pete Rose, and even though he was the Mets' nemesis, especially 73, with the fighting with Bud Harrelson and everything, he was a great player. He had the most hits in baseball. He should be in the Hall of Fame, and I wanted to throw that out there. I couldn't mention that, go on with this podcast without saying something about it.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you brought it up because for years I thought also that he deserved to be in, but I'm really discouraged and disillusioned a little bit from the Hall of Fame. I don't, certain people that are there, I don't think they should be there, and some people that should be there are not. So to me, that's not a credible institution. So I think Pete Rose is in everybody's hearts Hall of Fame because I don't know. I don't think he did anything wrong, especially now with the betting when it's like so okay to bet. But anyway, the passion he had for the game is like undeniable. So
yeah, and I think Tom had a point about Buddy Harrelson wasn't intimidated by Charlie Hustle. That's Pete's nickname. So yeah, I mean he did something wrong to break the rules, but compared to all the other stuff, it's like really
ridiculous.
Crazy.
And they're talking about like, I saw a question today, like should be inducted like posthumously. Like no, don't bring him in. Yeah. Don't induct him after he's dead. That would be terrible. Please.
Well, no. I think that happens a lot. I think if he deserves to be in, whether he's alive or he passed away. Yeah, but and not for that point, right? If that's what you're trying to mean, not because he passed away, right?
Yeah. That he's dead, you can like.
Yeah. So.
All right, you want to shoot the question out?
Yeah,
hopefully it's a really short question.
Our Met t-shirt. By the way, Tom, you still I got to give this to you because, you know, I know there were times I couldn't deliver to you, but I still want to do that. So I hope you're feeling better. I could make a house call and give you your T-shirt.
You can mail it to him.
I know. I wanted to meet him in person, so we'll see if we could do that. So, so let's see. What is my question now? All right. I don't even know where it is, but I will remember it.
Well,
No, I have it. Okay, so speaking of like going back in time, remember the best manager that the Mets ever had was Gil Hodges. So Gil Hodges was very strategic in with platooning players, trying to get the most out of like his team by you know, having this, you know, platoon with players. So he did this with every position. He platooned except for 3. So there's 3 positions that Gil Hodges never used to platoon. What are those 3 positions? You could guess if you don't know it. So that's the question. So, and this is how he, you know, he didn't have a spectacular lineup. So he had to do this to make the most out of the team. And of course, you know, they won in 69. So, so let's see.
Okay,
who out there knows?
A few more seconds.
Emily should get this. I don't think Emily has a T-shirt, even though she's our co-host. She should just have a T-shirt because she's helped us. Anybody?
All right, I don't think anybody knows.
Okay, well, we'll wait. Yeah, we'll keep it out there for a little bit. And then let me just
give people time to Google it.
Yeah, just throw this out. Like, so if the Mets win tonight, they're going to play the Phillies.
Margie said quarterback.
Oh, God. Nope. And if they, you know, if they don't win tonight, they play tomorrow night again in Milwaukee. By the way, the roof is closed tonight. Just FYI. Just thought if you guys are interested in, you know, indoor baseball, we're going to have that tonight in Milwaukee. And hopefully they'll be going, you know, I think they need to win tonight. That's
obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a good
finish it today.
Yeah, I don't have a good feeling if they don't win with their best pitcher on the mound. So, and then I think Milwaukee goes back to Peralta. Is that possible? That's what I heard. I think that's crazy, but for tomorrow, but that's what I heard.
Okay, so
you don't have anybody wants to guess? No, nobody. Okay, maybe we'll save it for next week. Let's see. You know, maybe it's just really slow here.
Dinner time. And chaos in her house. Thank you, Emily, for joining. No, we're.
You know what? Put it in the comment. Whoever if we end and we don't have the answer. Oh, here it is. No, that was close. Shortstop and center field's right, but that is catcher. He platooned
center field, shortstop, and catcher.
Close. Nope. All right, put it in the comment section, and then you can win that way. And
you'll still win, even if you Google it. We're not.
But you got to be fast, right? Oh, well, not pitcher. You position players, Marge. Quarterback. Oh boy.
Oh wait. All right.
We're going to close tonight. Think about. Let's go back. Haven't let people know about us. Tom, thank you for the, calling us out on Facebook or the shout out, I should say, not really calling us out. Yeah. So it's the positions that didn't platoon.
Let's go Mets.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining.
Bye. All right.